Today is April 8th, 2020. 13 years ago, it was Easter Sunday. I had spent the night in the hospital because I thought I was going into labor. And they told me I wasn't going to go anywhere because I had a severe kidney infection and that they were going to give me some medicine and then I can go home in the morning. Well, medicine worked so well that my water broke around 3 o'clock in the morning. By 7, I was told I was dilated to 4 centimeters, and it was time to have this baby. So I needed to make necessary calls for mothers to be there, grandmothers basically, if they wanted to be there, and make arrangements of spending a birthday and Easter. And not a day doesn't go by that I don't think about that day. I think about being annoyed because my on-call doctor for the weekend, because my OB didn't work weekends. The on-call for OB for the weekend couldn't get there in time because it was Easter and she didn't want. It was just stupid excuses, and I literally let it sit there. What felt like forever with not being able to push and wanting to push, and they're like, "Wait, you have to wait for the doctor to be here," and I'm like, "Come on, she's coming. I don't want her to suffocate." She came though. I think it was right before 11 a.m. which I always thought was special because I was born at 11 a.m. I do believe it was 10:52 because it was 8 minutes to 11. I believe. Something like that. She was the most beautiful baby I ever saw. She was so little. 5 pounds, 7 ounces. She was a little on the small side for being full term. She was actually due April 10th. And the funny thing is 2 days ago was April 6th, and my grandmother, who passed away in 2008, wanted Kaylena to be born on her birthday because they would have shared that. But I had Kaylena 2 days later. Kaylena got to meet my grandmother, and there's a video of Kaylena's first birthday of my grandmother being there. But unfortunately, Grandma passed away. I can't see her picture, but her picture's up in this little frame. Grandma passed away in 2008 when I was pregnant with Dakota. But this is about Kaylena. Kaylena was born 13 years ago today. My daughter is a teenager. Kaylena, this video is for you. I have waited intentionally, and I'm sorry, but I waited intentionally until you were 13 before I would go public like this to where you can see it. Because now that you're 13, my dear darling daughter, you have a say in what happens with you and Dakota. I want to go back to court sometime soon, not sure when, but I'm going to fight with every ounce of my being, with every molecule, with every atom, to get my daughters back. Because they're my world. I was never a bad mother. I had moments of weakness, just like any other mother, but I loved my children more than anything. The day they were taken from me was June 7th, 2012. Woke up like any other normal morning, at least as far as I knew. But what was weird is I got up, and then he got up, their father, but he got up like within the hour after I did. And I gotta stop messing with my laptop while I'm recording this. While I was getting the kids up and awake and making my coffee and turning my computer on because I like to unwind or like to wake up on the computer because I didn't have a smartphone. I wasn't allowed to have a smartphone. at the age of 26. Wasn't allowed to have a phone better than my spouse. This is true. You can ask anybody about the phone I had when I woke up in the hospital. Okay, I'm digressing. I mean, I need to revert back to round to where I'm going. I thought it was going to be any other kind of morning, like get up, get my kids ready. It was a Thursday, so I was going to have all day with the girls, and I was mentally preparing myself for that because lately I was at my wit's end. I was with them constantly, nonstop, 24/7, and I love my daughters with all my heart and soul, and I would give anything to get that back. But I wasn't allowed to seek help from anybody. I had his permission to take my children to see my parents because my dad had hepatitis C. And even though I had antibodies for it in my blood, giving my children the antibodies for it in their blood, he was deathly afraid my children would get hepatitis C from my father. My father was cured of hepatitis C before he passed away. June 7th. It changed my life. My life literally ended that day in so many ways. He got up behind me, like he woke up after me and said the most relieving words I ever thought I'd hear. Like the idea even then, like that thought that it gave me of, oh my God, thank you. I needed a little break. Just a little one, just to get myself in the shower and get myself all cleaned up so I can be a better mom for the kids that day. I didn't get a choice that day. I got them dressed and I got them ready, and he told me he was going to take them to McDonald's to give me a little break and get them some breakfast, and then he would bring them back by 11 so he could get ready to go to work. Matthew never came back, ever. I didn't see my ex-husband again until the courtroom. Or was it outside? It doesn't matter. It was in the courthouse, outside the courtroom, in the courtroom. Doesn't matter. I begged, I pleaded for him to come home, to bring me the girls back, to tell me what was going on. I did not know what was happening. My world was spiraling like quickly down the hole because he disappeared. He disappeared on me completely. Like I got 2 text messages after he left because I didn't think anything of it while in those 2 hours. I thought he'd be back. So I got myself dressed, I got myself showered, I got myself cleaned up, I got myself my coffee, and then it started to get close to 11, and I'm like, shouldn't he be back by now? And then 11:30, and nothing. And then by 11:45, I finally got one text back, and he said he was in an accident. And then I tried to figure out what kind of accident, and he said it was something that he caused, but it didn't, none of it made sense. And I think that was the point. Because by then I was so frantic, I was calling I was calling hospitals, I was calling dispatches for various cities because you call where I lived. Out where I live now, it's a county thing. I get Adams County. I get Weld County Sheriff. But back down where I lived with my ex-husband, it was different. It was cities, and I was contacting different city municipalities trying to find out where my ex-husband was because I couldn't figure it out. I was freaking out. I have screenshots of the old Facebook that I have no access to of when I was still married, of me trying to get him to come home because my Facebook was set up that if I posted anything on my wall, he got a text message of it. Like my status update would go directly to his phone because he wanted to know what I was posting. He knew every password to every account I owned, every email, um, every Facebook, every MySpace. He had access to it all. I was not allowed to have anything concealed from him whatsoever. I, apparently, I wasn't trusted. He didn't trust me from the very beginning. I told him at 16, if there's no trust in a relationship, then there's no relationship. I lived with no trust for 10 years. On that day that he took them, when I trusted him, I found out from the Federal Heights Police Department that my ex had called into work because his work wouldn't tell me where he was or what was going on because it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon and he was supposed to be to work by then. And his work didn't tell me anything. They wouldn't tell me anything. He told me that if they had found out that he was back with me, they were going to fire him. So he was hiding me from his job. And you can contact the Home Depot distribution center and ask them about my ex-husband. I'm sure they'll tell you. You can ask when he worked there, and I'd be more than happy to give the information. You can ask them what they thought of me, and you can hear his side. Going back, when the police department told me that he had called into work to file legal paperwork, I knew exactly what he was doing again. In May of 2011, I was trying to leave him and divorce him, but he wanted to take the kids for the weekend, and then on Monday he filed a restraining order and took the kids from me and had the kids for me for an entire month from the month of May to the month of June, I believe, and I finally got back in with him by July, and I have a friend who can vouch for that because she came to Colorado to help him with my girls because I had been kicked out. June 7th, when I found out, I keep avoiding it, but I attempted suicide. I lost it. I knew he was taking them from me again, and I thought maybe his threat to me in so many times, not even just the very beginning. When I was 16 and tried to break up with him, he threatened that he would go home and commit suicide if I broke up with him. At 16, he told this to me. I was crying. I was dead set on breaking up with him because I saw so many red flags. But then he says that, and my heart broke because I didn't want to have that on my conscience. I couldn't live with myself if someone went home and killed themselves over me just breaking up with them. I mean, we'd only been together for 2 weeks, but he had told me he loved me. He told me he wanted to be with me for the rest of our lives. He was ready to, I think he did propose, like, somewhere within that time period or shortly after. Teenagers. And he proposes to me. And I was enamored. I was caught up. It's what narcissists do. They promise you all these beautiful things and then they don't follow through. Kaylena, when I was first pregnant with you, I fought for you for the entire first trimester because your father wanted me to abort you. People are going to be mad at me for telling you, but you know what? It is so true. You can go back to Wold's Grocery in Sealy Lake, Montana. There are still people working there that knew me when I was there pregnant with you in the very beginning. I would go to work crying because your father would pressure me the entire time beforehand once I found out that I was pregnant that we should go and get you aborted because he's not ready yet. You were all I ever wanted. And he wanted me to abort you. He tried to pressure me into aborting you until you can no longer be aborted. And then he finally heard your heartbeat. And then maybe, just maybe, he was kind of okay with it. But you know what? I think he was only okay with it because of your Mimi. She wanted a grandchild. She didn't want me, but she wanted her grandchildren. That's why she's been raising you for the last 8 years. I attempted suicide by swallowing 40 to 45 blood pressure pills. I won't say the name of it because it's still being prescribed today by doctors, and I don't want other people to follow suit, because I poisoned my blood so bad that I stopped breathing at 3 o'clock in the morning at St. Anthony's North Hospital in Westminster. I'm shaking talking about this. Let me get the laptop to stop shaking. You can't see it. Anyway, I went into, I took the pills. I wrote all my suicide notes that he, took pictures of for the divorce. And I went and laid down to die, thinking of my daughters and how I failed and how I didn't protect them better by getting them out of that house faster, and that I was so blind to see that he was doing that to me. So I went to lay down to die. And I just kept thinking about Kaylena, and I just kept thinking about Dakota. And I couldn't lay there anymore. My gut told me to get up, call 911, because I don't have much longer. And my gut was right. If I hadn't called sooner, or if I'd called any later, I probably wouldn't have made it, because my blood pressure was already going bonkers from the blood pressure medication. I think it was spiking really bad, if I remember correctly, or it was dropping. I don't remember, but it made the EMTs go from not so worried to siren on and freaked out and getting me in the emergency room. I remember getting wheeled in. I remember getting told I needed to take off my rings or they were going to get so swollen. My fingers were going to get so swollen they'd have to cut the jewelry off. So I took off all jewelry. And they gave me apple juice and charcoal. It ruined me on apple juice for a couple of years. I had to get tricked into drinking it, thinking it was something else. I thought I was drinking white grape juice, and it was apple juice. And then I've been able to drink it again, but for the longest time, it tasted like charcoal again. It was horrible. But I remember my phone service being turned off at 5:30, and I was trying to get a hold of my family and let them know where I was. My sister Monica, your auntie Monica Kaylena, was able to finally find me, and she was able to tell your grandma where I was. We were supposed to go pick up your grandma that night from the airport because she was flying in from Ohio, and I knew you guys were excited to go see her. I'll never forget the looks on your faces when you were leaving, though. I know you guys didn't want to leave. I don't remember what happened after my phone got turned off around 5:30. And the only reason I remember the time is I saw, actually, I don't remember looking at the phone at the time of when it got turned off, but it was when I woke up from my coma that there was still a text message in there at 5:30 showing the last text message I had received, and I think it was from my sister. And yes, I did go into a coma from my suicide attempt. I stopped breathing at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they called my mother to let her know that they had incubated me with the tubes down into my throat, into my lungs, so I can breathe. And I was on a ventilator, so I was no longer breathing on my own. And I went code blue. I died. It took them so long for me to start breathing again that my brain had slipped into a coma. I lost enough oxygen to my brain. From that point, I'll leave for another story, another video. But I woke up on Father's Day, 10 days later, June 17th. My dad said it was the best Father's Day gift I could have ever given him because I woke up. And I woke up naturally on my own. But I still couldn't breathe on my own. I still had the tubes in my mouth. I kind of remember the nurse asking me if I knew where I was, but I remember being very bright too. After that, I got put back under. I don't remember much else. I mean, I remember the weird dreams I had when they put me back under, medically induced, and I was under the coma again and for another 10 days. I had weird dreams. I had outer body experiences where I was conscious of what was going on around me, but I was sleeping. I knew when nurses and doctors were in the room with me, but I was sleeping. It was like I was a fake sleep, but I wasn't faking it because I literally could not open my eyes. I was just conscious while I was laying there, which was very disturbing. When I finally woke up for good from the coma, it was June 26th, June 27th, somewhere around there. Really, it was about June 26th because it took me about a week or so to rebuild some of the muscle in my legs and upper arms enough to become mobile again. Because the funny thing about being in a coma for 20 days, or at least in bed for an entire month, is you get atrophy. Oh, and you get bed sores. I don't think the laptop. But you do get bed sores. So, I wish I could see if it's in the video. Hang on. Yep, no, I have it. There. You get bed sores. So, there's one of my proofs. Oh, and I have dialysis scars. I have a dialysis scar here. And I have another dialysis scar. I usually have to find it by feeling it. But yeah, I call them my Frankenstein. There it is. I call them my Frankenstein scars because my head could not move from side to side because of dialysis, which caused me to get the bed sore. I had to relearn how to walk. I had a walker for the 4th of July. I was hell-bent on getting out of that hospital because I did not want to watch fireworks from a hospital room. So I went with a walker. Couldn't do much else. Sat in a chair, watched the fireworks. It took me a long time to be able to run again. Now I can run pretty good. I've lost a lot of weight. I lost a lot of weight in the hospital. I'm actually down to about the same size I was right after the hospital. I went into the hospital over 200 pounds. Came out of the hospital at about 180-ish. I've been fighting for my girls every day since I woke up from that coma. I tried to fight for them in court during my divorce, but I had the worst lawyer ever. We should not have gotten the PRE that we got. She was totally paid off. And then the psychiatrist was paid off. And I know this for a fact because the attorney I worked for, Carrie Ann Lucas, she told me. She knew exactly what happened. She looked over my case. And stupid me moved out of Colorado in 2017, and then she passed away shortly after. So when I tried to go to court again in 2017, because, let's see, divorce was finalized in 2013, I lost custody, and I had to try and fight for who I was as a person. I made bad choices, Everyone does. I tried to go back to court in 2015. I thought I hired another lawyer who was going to actually help me. But all it was is I paid basically for him to sign off on legal paperwork and had his paralegals do all the work. Like $2,000 down the hole for nothing because I practically did all the work and the paralegals just like proofread it. So at that point, that's when I decided I'd go become a paralegal. I mean, I got my degree. I have an associate's degree in paralegalism. I can be a paralegal. I'm certified. Um, and that's when I met Carrie Ann as a paralegal. And then I got caught up with another narcissist in 2017. And he made me believe he was going to help me get my kids back. And we hired a lawyer. We were starting to do all this stuff. And when it came time to paying the lawyers more, and he didn't want to continue paying them. He didn't want to continue helping me fight for my children. And that's when I started, that's when it all went downhill. It's been 8 years. This is the 7th birthday I have missed for my daughter. When my father passed away in 2017, it broke my heart more times than anyone will ever know because my children missed out on the last 5 years of their grandfather's life because my ex was punishing me because I wanted to leave him. So they missed out on their grandpa Billy because my ex was punishing me. My father did not get to see them grow up because of my ex. My parents, everybody in my family, all of my friends, everybody associated with me have been cut off. In 2015, when I tried to take him back to court to try and get some kind of visitation with the children before he moved to Missouri, my mother called him after the court thing because the judge told him that he was to allow my family to contact the children. My mom called, got a hold of Matthew. Matthew then asked my mother for all the phone numbers, not thinking of why he may be doing this. He turns around and he blocks every single phone number of my family. So my family have not been able to get a hold of my children, not by choice, but because they have been blocked by their father, by Matthew, by my ex-husband. This is why I'm doing a video to try and reach out to my daughter on her 13th birthday. Because Kaylena, we have been trying, baby. We have been trying so hard to get you and get to you and see you and talk to you and tell you that we love you. Beyond all words, beyond compare. I came back. I died 3 times in the hospital. And your mama came back for you because you don't deserve to live in a house where you were lied to all of your life, just like he was. Ask your father who his father was. It was not Les Marston. Les Marston is a stepdad. Les Marston adopted your dad. Your father's birth father was taken out of the picture when he was a baby. Your grandma skipped out on your father's father, and as soon as your father was born, came to where I live now, where you were taken from me. Your Mimi is notorious for hiding family members. So, ask about your birth grandfather who gave the DNA to your father, because I've only seen one picture of him, and your father has never met him, talked to him, or heard anything from him. Like, he didn't even know what his birth father looked like until I came around and like kept bugging for it because we needed to know for DNA, like medical reasons. But yeah, I'm at 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this. But Kaylena, I'm fighting for you, baby. I'm coming hard. I love you so much. Happy birthday. And baby, you're 13. If you want to talk to me, if you want to see me, if you want to be a part of me and you're this family side of your life, this family side of your life, yeah, I'm so upset still. If you want us back in your life, please. Mommy will, Mama, I'm not even mommy anymore. You're a teenager. Your mother is here for you, girl. We will do this and I will get you back and you'll find out the truth. Because you need to know the truth, and I've only ever been telling the truth. My story has never changed. How has your father's?